Chapter 11. Marked. The cloth was already soaked through. Rina pressed harder, hands slick with blood, trying to slow the pulse bleeding out through Berik's side. Gauze packed deep beneath her fingers wasn't catching anything. The stone beneath him was warm but fading. His breath came shallow. Each time she checked his pulse, it was weaker. Fenric knelt opposite her, digging through his kit, his legs gone cold. "I know," she said. "He's shutting down." She didn't answer. Her hands stayed where they were. Pressure at the ribs. Binding tight. Eyes locked on the wound. He passed her another strip of cloth, already tearing a sleeve from his shirt. "Here." She wound it around the thigh, just above the break. It cinched tighter than it should have. She felt the bone shift beneath it. "He should be resisting," she muttered. "The body should be pushing back." "He's got nothing left to push with," Fenric said. Rina ignored him, leaned low, checked his breath again. Mouth barely open, chest barely moving. "Still there?" "Just," she said. Fenric crouched lower. His eyes stayed on Berik's face. "He's not going to make it. He's not finished." "You're sure?" "No," she said, "but it doesn't matter." She tied the last wrap over the side wound. Blood soaked through in seconds. He watched her a long moment. "You don't have anything else left, do you?" Rina didn't respond. She stared at her own hands. "You're not connected anymore." "I know. You don't have the glyphs. No tether. No script. You're just you." She nodded once. "And that's going to have to be enough." Fenric sat back on his heels. "He needs more than cloth and force of will. I'm not letting him die." "I don't think you get to choose that." Then the floor shifted. A hum stirred beneath the stone, too deep to hear, but strong enough to feel. The relay in the center of the room flickered. A faint arc of light climbed its base. Pale amber. Familiar. Rina's head snapped toward it. "No." Fenric followed her gaze. "What is that?" The relay lit again. A second line curled up the base. A pulse followed. Slow. Deliberate. White. Then gold. Then a voice. "Vital integrity compromised. Reconstruction remains viable. Authorization required." Rina stood fast, boots slipping in the blood. "No. Not again." Fenric rose behind her. "That's what he used on you, isn't it?" She didn't answer. He stepped beside her. "It saved you." "No," she said. "It changed me." The glyphs flared again. Thin lines spidered outward across the stone floor, toward Berik. Authorization required. Fenric looked at Berik, then back to the relay. "It can bring him back." "It can bring something back?" Rina snapped. "You were walking, talking, fighting. I was something else," she said. "It worked." "No, it didn't. I wasn't me. Not really." The relay pulsed again. The light thickened. Glyph lines brightened beneath Berik's body, dim, like coals cooling, but not dead. Authorization required. Fenric's voice dropped. "He's not going to survive this." "He might." "He won't." "You don't know that." "I know what this looks like." Rina stepped forward, cutting him off. "He made me promise." "What?" "That if this happened again, if the relay came back, if I ever had the chance to do what he did to me, I wouldn't." Fenric looked past her, at the glyphs, then at Berik's limp form. "You're going to stand there and let him die because of some promise? Because it's his choice. He can't make it. Then we wait until he can. He'll be gone before he wakes up." Rina didn't move. "Then we let him go on his terms." "Gods, listen to yourself." She didn't speak. Fenric's hands curled into fists. "You're not thinking clearly." "I'm the only one who is." Authorization required. The light reached Berik now. His skin, pale and blood-slick, reflected a faint shimmer. The glyphs that had once burned beneath it were little more than scars. But they hadn't disappeared. Not completely. "He told you no," Rina said, and he meant it. Fenric didn't answer. He just looked down. Then, "I won't lose anyone else." Rina stepped closer. "Don't." He moved past her. One pace. She grabbed his arm. "Stop. He dies here. Then he dies himself." Another pulse rolled out from the relay. The entire chamber seemed to breathe. "Reconstruction remains viable." Rina's voice dropped. "Please." Fenric looked at her. Just for a second. Then he moved. She lunged to stop him, caught his shoulder. He turned hard, shoved her aside. Not violently, but enough. She stumbled, hit the floor near Berik's feet, palms sliding through the blood. "Fenric." He didn't answer. He grabbed Berik by the shoulders, dragging him across the stone toward the base of the relay. Rina pushed herself up, slipping once, then scrambled after him, but he was already lowering Berik's hand to the light, and the system was already awake. The glyph light surged, the instant skin met stone. Berik's hand pressed to the relay, and the chamber answered. Lines of light erupted from the plinth, white, then gold, then deep crimson. They curled around his wrist like wire, spiraling fast up the forearm, elbow, shoulder. The glow didn't rest on the surface, it bored inward, threaded into tissue, sank beneath bone. Rina shouted. Too late. The floor groaned beneath them. Dust fell from overhead and curled along the seams in the stone. Glyph lines buried in the walls sparked to life, flickering in sequence like veins awakening to a pulse. A low vibration pressed through the chamber, high-frequency surgical. The plinth didn't move, but Berik's body wrenched upright, like it had been hooked from the spine. His back locked. His legs staggered once, then held. The old break in his thigh twisted. Bone cracked. Flesh tore open. Tendons recoiled like springs, then lashed forward again. Muscle regrew in twitching knots, each layer sealing over before the next one tore through. His ribs shifted. One pushed free, pierced skin for a half-second before vanishing beneath a blinding streak of glyph light. His sides sealed shut. Blood evaporated into steam. Every breath came as a dry, hollow rattle through clenched teeth. Fenric stumbled back. The heat hit in waves. He braced one hand against the wall. The other hovered near the hilt of his blade. Rina dropped low, tried to reach Berik, but the heat surged outward from the plinth, radiant and blinding. Her hands blistered before contact. She recoiled, teeth gritted, and shouted over the rising hum. Let go, Berik. Pull back. He didn't move. Couldn't. His mouth opened. Eyes rolled back. No sound at first. Then a voice. Not his. Designation. Rigel. Pattern restored. Cold. Even mechanical. Not broadcast. Spoken. Through him. The glyphs along his arms ignited brighter. Once soft etchings, now seared clean through flesh, like they were written deeper than skin. No blood came, just light, sharp and pulsing, not random. Rhythmic, breathing. Rina stepped closer again. Berik, he screamed. This time it was his voice. Raw, torn. Rage and refusal layered into one sound. His free arm clawed at the stone, nails cracking. The glyph surged again, crawling from collarbone to neck, racing toward the base of the skull. Muscles in his back locked. His shoulder popped out of joint with a sick, wet snap. The relay didn't stop. Tendons yanked it back into place a heartbeat later. He gasped. No air behind it. Then another voice emerged. Quieter. Lower. Not speech. Code. Soundless patterns laid over breath. Rina saw his hand begin to turn. Not pulled. Pushing. His body twisted against the tether. Skin tore at the palm, where the contact point burned brightest. Layer by layer, dermis split. Sinew peeled free. The glyph light burrowed down to the core of him, something raw beneath identity. He pulled back, an inch, then two. The skin gave first, then the muscle. The joint strained. Tendons screamed. Glyph light arced, resisting the break. Then, with a sudden wrench, he tore loose. Berik stumbled backward. One step. Two. His knees buckled and he collapsed forward, first to his elbows, then flat, face pressed against the hot stone, limbs shaking. Steam rose off him. Glyph light faded slightly, but didn't vanish. Rina reached him as soon as the heat broke. She dropped beside him, rolled him onto his side. His face was pale, lips bloodless, but his eyes were open, wide, bloodshot, unfocused. Then a breath, shallow, then another. He coughed once, mouth opened wider, drew air again. His chest began to rise in rhythm. Breath filled him. Rina watched it, slow, mechanical, steady. She didn't touch him at first, just watched, felt the space around him change. The temperature, the air, the pressure. He was still alive, but not untouched. Fenric hadn't moved. He stood a few paces away, hands at his sides, gaze fixed, no blade drawn, no words. Rina pressed 2 fingers to Berik's throat. The pulse was there. Fast, too fast, but strong. The glyphs along his arms had stopped glowing bright, but they hadn't dimmed fully. They pulsed faint beneath the skin, each beat synced to his breath. Berik pushed up onto one elbow. She reached to steady him, but he shook his head. He rose slowly, hand braced on the stone floor. Blood from his palm smeared dark trails across the glyph lines. He didn't look at it. He sat upright, still breathing, still quiet. Then he raised one arm, turned it over, studied the carvings that now ran deep from wrist to shoulder. They weren't symmetrical. They weren't beautiful. They were deep, messy, scored into him by force. Their edges glowed faint, not radiant, but constant, like memory stored in the body. He flexed his fingers, rolled his wrist, then looked at her. Rina froze. Behind his eyes, something waited. It wasn't visible, but it was there. She saw it. He blinked. Once. Berik? She said. His voice came low. Frayed. Still here. She waited. Do you remember? I do, he said, then quieter. But I'm not alone. She didn't answer. Her stomach turned. Not from fear. From certainty. He lowered his hand. The plinth behind him had gone dim. No sound. No light. Whatever it had been doing, it had finished. Or stopped. Berik got to his feet. His movements were precise, balanced, but different. No limp, no tremor, no hesitation. He stood in full silence, then turned to face the relay. One hand reached out, lightly touched the cold stone. He traced the edge with 2 fingers, paused, then let his hand fall. He turned toward the others. His voice came quieter now. Steadier. Fenric. The word hit harder than it should have. Fenric's shoulders squared. Berik didn't look at him. Not at first. Then she told you not to. Silence. You were bleeding out. Berik's jaw tensed. His hand twitched again, that same stuttered motion as earlier. He clenched it into a fist, held it against his side until the motion passed. I would have made it. You don't know that. Berik's head lifted. Neither did you. I wasn't going to let you die. That wasn't your call. It was mine to carry. Rina moved between them. No force. Just presence. Enough. Berik didn't look away. He forced it. You can deal with it later. I'm dealing with it now. Rina held her ground. You're breathing. That's enough. Berik stepped back. Just one step. His arms dropped to his sides. The fight left his shoulders not forgiven, not finished, just displaced. He didn't answer. Fenric didn't speak either. The room quieted. The relay was dark. Rina watched Berik long after he stopped moving. The glyphs beneath his skin were still active, not alive in the way magic flickers, alive in the way thought lingers. Whatever the relay had called awake, it hadn't left. It was watching, waiting, inside, listening. They walked out quiet. No system followed. No voice. No glyph response. The vault behind them had gone still, like a breath held too long finally let out. The door to the relay chamber sealed behind them with a faint click. No lock engaged. It didn't need to. Whatever power had stirred back there had sunk again, leaving the stone cool, the light dim, and the air unmoving. Fenric led. The hammer rested uneven across his back, shaft clutched in his right hand, weight swaying with each step. He didn't speak, didn't glance over his shoulder. Rina came next, a few strides behind. She moved slower now, shoulders taut, watching the floor. Her sleeves were singed, the skin on her forearms still raw from the relay's heat. She carried nothing, no satchel, no tools. Nothing left but the clothes she'd worn in and the faint trace of a system that no longer answered her voice. Berik walked last. They passed back through the long central hall. Dust covered the floor in an undisturbed film. No blood here, no sign of fighting, just the smell of heat-baked stone and the faint buzz of dormant circuits still running ambient power. He watched their backs, footsteps even. His blades were sheathed tight across his lower back, one on each hip. He'd cleaned them on the knight's cloak, back in the relay chamber. He said nothing, just moved. As they neared the bend toward the surface breach, Rina slowed. Her head turned, tracking movement behind her that wasn't there. She stopped near a wall sconce, its glyph etched half invisible against the stone. Berik stepped beside her. She glanced at him, then to his belt. I don't have anything, she said. He didn't answer. Just reached down, drew the thinner of his 2 blades, the older one, the one with the worn hilt wrap, and handed it over. She hesitated. That's yours. Not today, he said. She took it. The leather felt familiar in her hand. She flipped it once, reversed the grip, and slipped it into her boot. She didn't thank him. He didn't expect her to. They moved on. The slope angled upward now, floor shifting from polished tile to bare stone, then to packed grit. The vault ceiling cracked in places here, old pressure damage and erosion splitting the walls near the breach. Late sunlight bled through the seam ahead, casting sharp bands across the ground. The outer corridor curved once more, wrapping the final stretch toward the broken entry. The wind had crept back in, thin, dry, steady. Sand swirled lightly near the breach, carried in small spirals that whispered across the floor. They approached the exit in a tight line. Rina reached it first. The door wasn't sealed. Hadn't been since they broke it open on arrival. The manual glyph scrawled on the wall by her hand still pulsed faintly, barely functional. She didn't touch it, just stepped through the breach and into the light. The sky outside had gone pale. The sun dipped low behind the southern ridgeline, dragging long shadows across the sand basin. The air carried grit, not storm-heavy, but thick enough to burn the eyes. Rina crouched slightly, scanned the ridges. Nothing moved. She stepped clear of the breach. Berik followed. His boots sank an inch into the sand. He glanced to the east slope, then west. His hand hovered over the remaining blade at his hip, but didn't draw. Fenric came up last, moving slower as the hammer knocked once against the stone edge of the breach. Then the bolt hit. It snapped into the rock just left of Fenric's foot. Chipped stone. Kicked dust. The sound echoed sharp through the passage. All three dropped instinctively. Berik rolled left behind a half-buried stone buttress. Rina pressed flat to the breach wall, eyes scanning the angles. Fenric dove to one knee and swung the hammer down into the sand, using the haft as anchor. Ridge fire, Rina hissed. South arc. At least 3 shooters. Berik tracked the line of fire. Fourth one higher up, crested the second dune. Another bolt hit, high this time, cutting across the top of the breach wall and vanishing into the gloom behind them. Wind kicked harder now. Grit moved in sheets along the slope. Then came movement. Figures rose from the dunes below, slow, measured. 7 at least, all clad in light desert armor. Sand-colored cloth wrapped around faces and shoulders. Soft-stepping boots pressing patterns into the slope. Rina watched the approach. Sevestian kit. No guild marks. Scouts, Berik said. Unaligned. Or worse. Fenric stayed crouched, hammer braced across both knees. One of the figures stepped ahead of the rest. Taller, broad across the shoulders. His face was half covered, but his voice was clear. You've got something that doesn't belong to you. No reply. He stopped just outside the breach's shadow. His hands rested on a curved short blade at his belt. I'll make this simple, he said. Walk out, drop whatever that system keyed to you, and you live. Berik didn't move. Rina rose partway, her hands stayed low, empty. No one here wants a fight. We've already had one, the man said. We felt it out here. Saw the flash from the relay chamber. We shut it down. Not soon enough. His eyes landed on Berik. You're marked. Berik stepped forward, slow. The dying sun lit one side of his face. I didn't choose this. Doesn't matter. You can't take it from me. We don't have to, the man said. We just have to bury what's left after it kills you. The others with him spread out slightly. 2 flanked east. 1 circled around the rocks below the breach. Berik flexed the fingers on his left hand once. Glyph light traced faint beneath the skin. Not glowing, just present, like memory that hadn't settled yet. Fenric shifted his weight, adjusting the hammer grip. The man raised his hand. No spoken order. Just a nod. That's all it took. From the ridge above, the next bolt loosed.